3 tribes go home. Then Joshua called a meeting of all the people from the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and the eastern half-tribe of Manasseh. He said to them, "You have obeyed everything Moses told you to do. He was a servant of the Lord. And also, you have obeyed all my commands. All this time you have supported all the other Israelites. You have been careful to obey all the commands the Lord your God gave you. The Lord your God promised to give the Israelites peace. Now he has kept his promise. Now you may go back to your homes. You may go to the land that Moses, the Lord's servant, gave you. It is the land on the east side of the Jordan River. But continue to obey the teachings Moses gave you. That law is to love the Lord your God and obey his commands. Continue to follow him and serve him the very best you can." Then Joshua said goodbye to them, and they left. They went away to their homes. Moses had given the land of Bashan to the eastern half-tribe of Manasseh. Joshua gave land on the west side of the Jordan River to the western half-tribe of Manasseh. And he sent them to their homes. He blessed them. He said, "Go back to your homes and your riches. You have many animals, silver, gold, bronze, and iron. And you have many beautiful clothes. Also, you have taken many things from your enemies. You should divide these among yourselves." So the people from the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and the eastern half-tribe of Manasseh left the other Israelites. They left Shiloh in Canaan and went back towards Gilead. This was their own land. Moses gave it to them as the Lord had commanded. The people of Reuben, Gad, and the eastern half-tribe of Manasseh traveled to Geliloth. This was near the Jordan River in the land of Canaan. There they built a beautiful altar. But the other Israelites still at Shiloh heard about the altar these 3 tribes had built. They heard that the altar was at the border of Canaan at Geliloth. It was near the Jordan River on Israel's side. All the Israelites became very angry at these 3 tribes. They met together and decided to fight them. So the Israelites sent some men to talk to the people of Reuben, Gad, and the eastern half-tribe of Manasseh. The leader of these men was Phinehas son of Eleazar the priest. They also sent one leader of each of the 10 tribes at Shiloh. Each of these men was a leader of his family group of Israelites. So these men went to Gilead. They went to talk to the people of Reuben, Gad, and the eastern half-tribe of Manasseh. The men said to them, "All the Israelites ask you, why did you turn against the God of Israel? Why did you build an altar for yourselves? You know that this is against God's law. Remember what happened at Peor? We still suffer today because of that sin. Because of it, God caused many of the Israelites to become very sick. And now are you doing the same thing? Are you turning against the Lord? Will you refuse to follow the Lord? If you don't stop what you're doing, the Lord will be angry with everyone in Israel. Your land may not be a good enough place to worship. If not, come over into our land. The Lord's tent is in our land. You may have some of our land and live there. But don't turn against the Lord by building another altar. We already have the altar of the Lord our God." Remember Achan son of Zerah. He refused to obey the command about what must be completely destroyed. That one man broke God's law, but all the Israelites were punished. Achan died because of his sin. But many other people also died. The people from Reuben, Gad, and the eastern half-tribe of Manasseh answered them. They said, "The Lord is our God." Again we say that the Lord is our God. God knows why we did this. We want you to know also. You can judge what we did. If you believe we have done something wrong, you may kill us. If we broke God's law, we ask the Lord himself to punish us. Do you think we built this altar to offer burnt offerings? And did we build it to use for offerings of grain and fellowship? No. We did not build it for that reason. We feared that someday your people would not accept us as part of your nation. Then they might say, "You cannot worship the Lord, the God of Israel." God gave you land on the other side of the Jordan River. It separates us from you people of Reuben and Gad. You cannot worship the Lord. So we feared that your children might make our children stop worshiping the Lord. So we decided to build this altar. But we did not plan to use it for burning sacrifices and making offerings. It was really to show our people that we worship the same God as you. This altar is proof to you and us. And it will prove to all our children who will come after us that we worship the Lord. We give our whole burnt offerings, grain, and fellowship offerings to the Lord. This was to keep your children from saying that our children could not worship the Lord. In the future your children might say that we do not belong to Israel. Then our children could say, "Look. Our fathers who lived before us made an altar. It is exactly like the Lord's altar. We do not use it for sacrifices. This altar shows that we are part of Israel. Truly, we don't want to be against the Lord. We don't want to stop following him. We know the only true altar is the one in front of the holy tent. It belongs to the Lord our God." Phinehas the priest and the 10 leaders heard these things. They listened to the people of Reuben, Gad, and Manasseh. And they were pleased. So Phinehas, son of Eleazar the priest, spoke. He said, "Now we know the Lord is with us. And we know you didn't turn against him. We're happy that the Israelites will not be punished by the Lord." Then Phinehas and the leaders went home. They left the people of Reuben and Gad in Gilead. And they went back to Canaan. There they told the Israelites what had happened. They were also pleased. They were happy and thanked God. And they decided not to fight against the people of Reuben and Gad. They decided not to destroy those lands. And the people of Reuben and Gad gave the altar a name. They called it Proof that we believe that the Lord is God. Joshua says goodbye. The Lord gave Israel peace from their enemies around them. He made Israel safe. Many years passed, and Joshua became very old. So he called a meeting of all the elders, heads of families, judges, and officers of the Israelites. He said, I am now very old. You have seen what the Lord has done to our enemies. He did it to help us. The Lord your God fought for you. Remember that your people have been given their land. It's the land between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea in the west. It's the land I promised to give you. But you don't control that land yet. The Lord your God will make the people living there leave. You will enter the land. And the Lord will force them out ahead of you. He has promised you this. Be strong. You must be careful to obey everything the Lord has commanded. Obey everything written in the book of the teachings of Moses. Do exactly as it says. There are still some people living among us who are not Israelites. They worship their own gods. Don't become friends with them. Don't serve or worship their gods. You must continue to follow the Lord your God. You have done this in the past. And you must continue to do it. The Lord has helped you defeat many great and powerful nations. He has forced them to leave ahead of you. No nation has been able to defeat you. With his help, one Israelite could defeat 1,000 enemies. This is because the Lord your God fights for you, as he promised to do. So you must be careful to love the Lord your God. Don't turn away from the way of the Lord. Don't become friends with these people who are not part of Israel. Don't marry them. If you do become their friends, the Lord your God will not help you defeat your enemies. So they will become like traps for you. They will cause you pain like a whip on your back and thorns in your eyes. And none of you will be left in this good land the Lord your God has given you. It's almost time for me to die. You know and fully believe that the Lord has done great things for you. You know that he has not failed in any of his promises. He has kept every promise he has given. Every good promise that the Lord your God made has come true. And in the same way, his other promises will come true. He promised that evil will come to you. He will destroy you from this good land that he gave you. This will happen if you don't keep your agreement with the Lord your God. You will lose this land if you go and serve other gods. You must not worship them. If you do, the Lord will become very angry with you. Then none of you will be left in this good land he has given you. Then all the tribes of Israel met together at Shechem. Joshua called them all together there. Then he called the elders, heads of families, judges, and officers of Israel. These men stood before God. Then Joshua spoke to all the people. He said, Here's what the Lord, the God of Israel, says to you, a long time ago your ancestors lived on the other side of the Euphrates River. I am talking about men like Terah, the father of Abraham and Nahor. They worshipped other gods. But I, the Lord, took your ancestor Abraham out of the land on the other side of the river. I led him through the land of Canaan. And I gave him many children. I gave him his son Isaac. And I gave Isaac 2 sons named Jacob and Esau. I gave the land around the mountains of Edom to Esau. But Jacob and his sons went down to Egypt. Then I sent Moses and Aaron to Egypt. I caused many terrible things to happen to the Egyptians. Then I brought you people out. When I brought your fathers out of Egypt, they came to the Red Sea. And the Egyptians chased them. There were chariots and men on horses. So the people asked me, the Lord, for help. And I caused great trouble to come to the Egyptians. I caused the sea to cover them. You yourselves saw what I did to the army of Egypt. After that, you lived in the desert for a long time. Then I brought you to the land of the Amorites. This was east of the Jordan River. They fought against you, but I gave you the power to defeat them. I destroyed them before you. Then you took control of that land. But the king of Moab, Balak son of Zippor, prepared to fight against the Israelites. The king sent for Balaam son of Beor to curse you. But I, the Lord, refused to listen to Balaam. So he asked for good things to happen to you. He blessed you many times. I saved you and brought you out of his power. Then you traveled across the Jordan River and came to Jericho. The people in the city of Jericho fought against you. Also, the Amorites, Perizzites, Canaanites, Hittites, Girgashites, Hivites and Jebusites fought against you. But I allowed you to defeat them all. While your army traveled forward, I sent hornets ahead of them. These hornets made the people leave before you came. So you took the land without using your swords and bows. It was I, the Lord, who gave you that land. I gave you land where you did not have to work. I gave you cities that you did not have to build. And now you live in that land and in those cities. You eat from vineyards and olive trees. But you did not have to plant them. Then Joshua spoke to the people. He said, Now you have heard the Lord's words. So you must respect the Lord and serve him fully and sincerely. Throw away the false gods that your people worshipped. That happened on the other side of the Euphrates River and in Egypt. Now you must serve the Lord. But maybe you don't want to serve the Lord. You must choose for yourselves today. You must decide whom you will serve. You may serve the gods that your people worshipped when they lived on the other side of the Euphrates River. Or you may serve the gods of the Amorites who lived in this land. As for me and my family, we will serve the Lord." Then the people answered, "No. We will never stop following the Lord. We will never serve other gods. We know it was the Lord our God who brought our people out of Egypt. We were slaves in that land. But the Lord did great things for us there. He brought us out. He protected us while we traveled through other lands. Then he helped us defeat the people living in these lands. He helped us defeat the Amorites who lived here. So we will continue to serve the Lord because he is our God." Then Joshua said, "You will not be able to serve the Lord well enough. He is a holy God. And he is a jealous God. If you turn against him and sin, he will not forgive you. If you leave the Lord and serve other gods, he will cause great trouble to come to you. The Lord has been good to you. But if you turn against him, he will destroy you." But the people said to Joshua, "No. We will serve the Lord." Then Joshua said, "Look around at yourselves and the people with you here. Do you all know and agree that you have chosen to serve the Lord? Are you all witnesses to this?" The people answered, "Yes, it's true. We all see that we have chosen to serve the Lord." Then Joshua said, "Now throw away the false gods that you have among you. Love the Lord, the God of Israel, with all your heart." Then the people said to Joshua, "We will serve the Lord our God. We will obey him." On that day Joshua made an agreement for the people. He made the agreement a law for them to follow. This happened at Shechem. Joshua wrote these things in the book of the teachings of God. Then he found a large stone. He put the stone under the oak tree near the Lord's holy tent. Then Joshua said to all the people, "See this stone. It will help you remember what we did today. It was here when the Lord was speaking to us today. It will help you remember what happened. It will stop you from turning against your God." Joshua dies. Then Joshua told the people to go back to their homes. And everyone went back to his own land. After that, Joshua son of Nun died. He was 110 years old. And they buried him in his own land at Timnath-Serah. This was in the mountains of Ephraim, north of Mount Gosh. The Israelites had served the Lord during the time Joshua was living. And after he died, they continued to serve the Lord. They continued to serve him while their elders were still alive. These were the leaders who had seen what the Lord had done for the Israelites. Joseph comes home. When the Israelites left Egypt, they carried the bones of Joseph with them. They buried them at Shechem, in the land Jacob had bought from the sons of Hamor. Hamor was the father of Shechem. Jacob had bought the land for 100 pieces of silver. This land belonged to Joseph's children. And Eleazar son of Aaron died. He was buried at Gibeah in the mountains of Ephraim.